Keenan, I guess I'll start with you for Max.
Which one?
Max Klare. What do you want to see from him as he gets adjusted to Ohio State? I know he's already has Big Ten experience, just getting adjusted here is a little different.
Yeah, Cam, I'm going to put a lot on his plate this spring. I haven't seen him do anything football-wise just because we're not in that period right now. But he's got to earn everything he's going to get. But I'm going to try to put a lot on his plate. Obviously, you've got to learn the offense. It's a new offense. And both positions, Y and H, and if we go 13 personnel and Z and X, I want to see what he can handle from that standpoint schematically. But then also physically, I got to evaluate him because I haven't had a chance to coach him yet.
What'd you see on film? I mean, he looks like a really special talented pass catcher.
Yeah, definitely he jumps off the screen as far as his, receiving abilities and whatnot. But then also blocking. I mean, he's definitely more than just willing as a blocker. So that was kind of an interesting recruitment just because it all went down as we're in the playoffs. So the timing was not ideal there. But I'm super impressed with Max and his maturity coming in here and just acclimating himself to the unit. It's been awesome.
Were you looking to add somebody to the room in general, or was it just a guy like, man, if that guy's out there, we got to go get him?
Yeah. I'm always open to adding, to making our room better. And, my guys know that. It could be from high school. People say, how many are you taking in a cycle? I'm going to take as many good tight ends as I could take, period, whether it be high school or transfer portal. So I didn't go in saying I need to go take one. My focus was we got to get these guys ready to win the Natty because we were in the playoffs at that point. But no, every year I'm going to take as many great tight ends as I can because we want to be the best unit in the country.
What was the discussion like with bringing Max in when you know how good the receivers are that Max just about everything. You know how good of a receiving threat Max is. Is there a question of do we need a true receiving threat at tight end? You know what I'm trying to ask? Brian's room does such a good job in the receiving game. How does Max fit into this offense? How much of that discussion was there before you guys were like, okay, yes, we're ready to take that?
Yeah, it was never really comparing Max to anything with the receivers. That was never a conversation. It was really more of do we want to bring in someone in the middle of this playoff run? And we were super, super protective of what we had going. Even the first couple of times I talked to him, he was talking to all these different schools, some that were in the playoffs. And I told him, I said, listen, I'm not going to sacrifice for 1 second any of my energy on you or a recruit or anybody. We're trying to go win the national championship. So even that was the conversation. It was all about timing and being a fit. I told him, I said, I'm not going to bring you here for a practice because I didn't think that was appropriate for me to be recruiting this kid in the portal while I'm coaching up these guys. So I didn't even bring him in for a practice. I said, if you want to come talk to me about this opportunity, it's got to be on an off day or an evening. And that's exactly what happened. And him and his parents came in on an off day at night, and we sat together for 2.5 hours, and I showed him how I could get him better as a player. And it was just an awesome conversation. But as far as, bringing Max in, it was less about his skill set, more about is it a fit. And before I did any of that, I talked to Bennett and I talked to Kaz. I said, you guys coming back, this is your unit. And if you tell me no, I will not even talk to the kid. But no, they were all on board. They did not even bat an eye. They said, if he can make us better, let's go get him.
I was going to ask you about the leadership in your room. You lost Cade, you had G right there.
Yeah.
Who's G? Who's the leader of your room right now?
Yeah, I would say Bennett first because he's been here the longest. So he knows what our culture is. And then Kaz is right there behind him. But all those guys, Jelani's been here for a while now. And that's the best part about this unit coming back. These guys, we got experience. Just look at the playoffs alone. We had 6 tight ends play in the playoffs. I only travel 6 tight ends. So I had 6 play in the playoffs. And in the national championship game, I had 5 play. So, there's a lot of veteran leadership coming back. So, a bunch of leaders in that room.
When talking about Jelani, consistency has brought up a lot.
Yep.
He made strides in that regard. Where have you seen him grow most? And I guess where is he different now today, heading into spring than he has been?
Yeah, how Jelani's different right now is all the non-glamorous stuff. It's just the daily habits, the stuff that you guys might consider boring, but just what are your habits from a day-to-day standpoint? How do you attack the off-season? Him in the weight room with Coach Mick this off-season is nothing I've seen yet. So I'm super encouraged, and I cannot wait to watch it translate to the football field.
Going back to Max.
Which one?
Max Klare.
Gotcha.
Last week at the Combine, Lathan Ransom said that he may have given you the idea to look at.
Yeah, I don't want to give Lay too much credit, but no, there was no lies told there. So every Friday night, Lathan, Caleb Downs, and I sit next to each other for dinner. Just a tradition we had last year. And every week I ask them about the opponent and kind of their game plan. I ask them about the tight ends that they're going to see. And when it was Purdue week, they were both going on and on about this kid. So when it was, when he entered the portal, Lay was like, yeah, that's the guy I was telling you about. So then we watched his film, and then conversations kind of started organically, and then the rest is history. But yeah, I'll give Lathan.
Since you said which one, I'll ask about Max LeBlanc.
Yeah.
What's his development been like here now, almost a year after he arrived?
Yeah, sure. Really good. Really good. This is a huge spring for Max, and we have high expectations. I mean, he had an awesome workout this morning that he won a one-on-one competition in front of the team, and we've been feeling him more. He's a tough kid, and super excited to coach him this spring.
You didn't make anything secret at all about how much you guys wanted Nate Roberts in the class last year?
No.
No. Pretty out in the open.
It was.
What have you seen so far that makes you think that he's maybe not this year because you've got such a large group of guys coming back and you had Max, but what excites you about him now that you have him on campus?
Yeah, I'm super impressed by his maturity. I mean, I think it's goes back to his high school coaches, Coach Beller, and those guys at Washington, and his parents. I mean, he had a brother who played college football, so he kind of gets a little bit. But he's been so locked in this winter. It has not been too big for him at all. Coming from a place like middle of Norman, Oklahoma to Columbus, Ohio, competing against these guys, maybe there's an adjustment, but he has not blinked, and I'm super encouraged by how he's attacked the winter.
Sorry to ask, but with the addition of Max Klare in the room, how have you seen the younger guys adapt? How does Max fit in, and how do you see the alignment of him, Will, Bennett, Giovanni, and all these guys?
Yeah, no, I would just say that they've meshed perfectly, and I think Max coming here and nobody leaving speaks to the room and the culture that's in the room. It speaks to Max, one, because I told him, I said, listen, Kaz is coming back, Benny's coming back, Lonnie's coming back. It's not like the cupboard's bare at all. And he understood that, and he still wants to be a Buckeye, which says a lot about Max Klare. But then, in today's day and age, you bring in anybody from the portal, you got to think somebody's walking right out the door, let alone one of the better guys returning at that position. No one batted an eye, and I told him on the front end, and I'm not surprised at all. The brotherhood in that unit is so freaking strong. And I told him the expectation is to be the best unit in the country. I don't waver from that. It's Ohio State. It's not just QBU, wide receiver U. It needs to be tight end U. And they know that expectation. So I'm going to sign the best in the country, portal guys, recruit guys, and everyone's on the same page there. So we're well aligned.
Was that part of the conversation? Hey, we weren't looking for someone to replace anybody in this room, but the best tight end in the country wanted to come here. We can't say no, or how does that work?
Yeah, I don't know if it was that easy. We could not say no. I mean, everyone else in the country wanted him as well. But the conversation, I went to Will and I went to Bennett, and I said, listen, I have not talked to him yet. With your permission, I will. And if he's a culture fit, that was my only promise. If he doesn't fit you guys, I'm not going to bring him in. But I think he has a skill set that might be complementary to you guys, and I think it might make the room better. And they were like, Coach, let's go get him.
How much does it help that everybody played last year to show they could play? They know they'll play if they're worthy.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. We're gonna play the best 11. Think about 2 years ago when I took it. It was the Case Dover show, and then you go last year. We had 6 guys playing the playoffs. We have 13 personnel at Ohio State. We got 14 personnel at Ohio State. That people probably would not have believed that 2 years ago. So our guys know. The proof's in the pudding now. If you're one of the best 11, you're gonna play. And listen, if you're not one of the best 11, but you're in the top 20, we're gonna have a package. You know what I mean? So to your point, they saw it last year, and now we got to expand on that now.
What does Bennett need to do?
16 package.
16 personnel. I don't know if I have enough bodies for him.
We saw a little bit of it with Will. People just thought of him as a blocker as a product, but we saw him on the field against Oregon, stretching the field vertically. Obviously, Max does what he does in the passing game, but what does Bennett need to do? Maybe to show you that he can do those things, because we haven't seen him do anything.
Sure. I mean, I think he was the first tight end to score last year, right?
Yeah,
it was an 80-yard touchdown.
Yeah,
he showed us that. But no, if you want to play tight end here, you got to be a receiving threat and you got to be dominant in the blocking game. Period.
Going off what you were saying before, how would you define the culture that I guess you've built in these tight ends?
Well, each year's different, right? So Kate kind of had his own little thing going. Last year, we prided ourselves we needed to be the baddest dudes on the field. Because I told them in the first meeting last year, I was like, we are the least talented unit on the team. Not just to insult them, but we're not full of all these high profile names. We needed to be the bad boys, and we needed to kind of embrace that blue collar image. So that was last year's, and I think we did it. Just turn on the film from the playoffs. This year, who knows what it's going to be? I've seen what it was this past winter, and it was a bunch of dudes that are super hungry to be the hardest working unit on the team. But time's going to tell. I'm excited to see and it's on them to set the culture.
Is there a point like in the season or in like camp that you realize like what that culture is going to be like?
Yeah, I think when you come out of spring, you'll have an idea of sort of the direction we're heading in, and then throughout the summer, and then maybe fall camp. Like last year at fall camp, we all kind of looked around the room, and the leaders were like, if we block our tails off, like we got a shot. And then obviously we got to do our job in the pass game, but we got to do the dirty jobs, and they embraced that up until the last game of the season. This year's going to be different. Like we've already talked about it. It's not set in stone, but like the challenge this winter and this spring is that the tight ends need to set the tone. Like you look around the team, like we've got so many veteran guys who have played. We've got to set the tone. Like it should come through the tight end room. The energy, the effort, the toughness, the physicality, the production should come through the tight end room. And that's what those guys are saying. So I bought into what they're, kind of pushing for.
Did you say Bennett was the leader of the room?
Yeah, we've got a lot, but Bennett's certainly been vocal. That was from the first day of winter training. He's been here for several years, and he's definitely been probably the most vocal of the tight ends right now.
What kind of leader? Because he's had an interesting, 4 years now,
Yeah.
3.5, 4 years now at Ohio State. How different is he as a leader, given like he had this taken away from him? And, like, what do you see from him as a leader?
Yeah, I think to your point you just made, it's a great one. I think show me a great tight end. I bet you I'm going to show you a guy who has some scars. Like I don't know. It's kind of make believe for like a tight end to come into college and it all clicks right away. Bennett's had ups and downs, and I think guys relate to that. Like this shit's gonna be freaking hard, man. So especially those young guys, those new guys coming in, Bennett's kind of that veteran figure. He's been through hell and back, and then we leaned on him down the stretch, and he's out here dominating dudes in the playoffs. So he's a lead first guy, but he's been super vocal, and I've challenged him to take these new guys in the Maxes and the Nates and show them the way.
Keenan, you've known Billy Dutton for a while. What stands out about him as a coach to get this shot as a quarterback?
Yeah, and I don't want to compliment him too much because he's one of my best friends, but Billy, right off the bat, his knowledge, he's one of the smartest football minds I've ever been around. Like, you got Coach Day, and then you got a couple other, and then like Billy's right up there. Billy and I were roommates during COVID. Sent my wife back to Cleveland, and we don't want to get anyone sick. And Billy and I roomed together. And like when that season got taken from us for a little bit, it was like football clinic every single day, 24 hours a day. And I was learning a whole lot more from him than he was from me. So, one is football mind, but also how he relates to these guys. Obviously, he's young and he played the position, but his ability to teach, he's off the charts. That was a home run hire, and super excited to work with him.
Do you think there's any benefit for you guys having such a young offensive staff to make those matter?
Yeah, I think so. I absolutely love our offensive staff in the sense of, we're youthful, right? Like, we can relate to the guys, and we got full of energy. Like, you come to our practices, you guys see, like, it starts with Coach Hart. He's out there running around like a madman, and we all got to follow suit. But also the continuity. Like, I've been here going on damn near a decade, and my two bosses have been Ryan Day and Brian Hartline for 10 years. So, like, we know each other every day for, 8 years. So that continuity, even you mentioned Billy Fessler, he was gone and came back. So, we're young, but we've been together. Show me another staff that's been together for 8 years that knows each other that well and that's, been this productive. I don't think there is one.
How much does it help you that you have experience, being in all these different position groups that you now take on that co-MC role?
Yeah, I think a lot, right? I think I'm going to try. My job, again, is to make sure that Coach Hartline's the best version of himself and make sure he's organized and has everything he needs. But to your point, like, I've been in the run game, I've been in the pass game. So to be the guy to help maybe Tyler Bowen out a little bit, hey, here's what we call that in the past, or, bridge the gap between run and pass. That's what a tight end does, and that's what hopefully I could do for the offensive staff.
With Max Klare's skill set, I'm going to phrase this the wrong way. You guys have great slot receivers at Ohio State. You always do. Emeka was a stud. Could a tight end like that help fill in some of maybe what you lose with Emeka, that physicality in the slot position? That he's a tight end, but pretty good pass catcher.
Yeah, I think so. I think we got several guys in the room that if we're in 12 personnel, they could go line up in the slot. They could line in line. I think that alone, the ability to do both is a mismatch for a defense, right? We tried out 2 or 3 different tight ends. Like, how are you going to treat that? Are we going to pack the box and run it? But if we could also spread it out and attack you through the air, I think that could be a mismatch, just like you said.
With the way Ryan and Brian want to call it here, do you think they like 12 personnel? What does a tight ends coach have to do to show Like, hey, we can do this whenever you want to do it. I promise you, we have 2 guys who are ready to do it. Like, what's that?
Yeah, sure.
Challenge?
Sure, yeah. And just like you said, challenge, that's exactly what it is. Because really, I tell my guys, like, they don't have pride. Like, the best guys are going to play. It's not like Brian Hartline coaches receivers, so they're going to live in 10 personnel. That's not going to happen. If I know the guy like he's my brother. Like, if the 4 best are running backs, we're going to run the wing tee or something.
Yeah.
Like, he's a competitor, and he's going to put the best 11 on the field to win. And if that's, 2 tight ends, hopefully 2 tight ends, 3 tight ends, we're going to play with all of that. And that's why you come to Ohio State. We don't shy away from that at all. Both of those guys, Coach Hart and Coach Day, have NFL experience. Both of them have used 12 personnel in the past, and we're really looking forward to expand that role. But that's really on the tight ends. They got to use this spring opportunity to prove they're one of the best 11 or top 20 or whatever that is. Good. Anything else, guys?
Thank you.
Sweet.
Thank you,
Thanks, guys.
buddy.
Appreciate it.